It's the Think High crew, yeah. Yeah, it's the Think High crew, what up? Yeah, it's the Think High crew, you know. It's the Think High crew, what up? It's the Think High crew, yeah. It's the Think High crew, yeah. It's the Think High crew, yeah. Yeah, it's the Think High crew, what up? Yeah, it's the Think High crew, you know. It's the Think High crew, what up? It's the Think High. It's the Think High crew, yeah.
Welcome to my hood. There ain't nothing normal. You can take a walk in my hood. Where everything paranormal. Everything paranormal. You can stay dirty, we got something for you. Open up the door, you can be a motor.
What up? What up?
Man rising.
If you're dying or if you're scared of dying,
We
we
got
got something for you.
right here, baby. Mindset Mindfulness Monday. We back with another motherfucker. I'm excited about today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. As I expressed on our Facebook and on all the other platforms, today's about generational curses.
And there's a talk about this generational curse going on the Thinking Higher social media thread.
Yeah, if you
We
just
also
go to-
have our own social media at this
You
point.
just go to thinkhighcrew.com and there's a tab that says forum. I love that word.
Yeah, but I'm thinking though, like this is going to be the first social media that I don't get kicked off of.
What's
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
I understand.
somebody's like pulling up the website as we're
Yeah, that
talking
was
about
me.
this because I just
That was
heard
me,
the
my
intro. Oh, okay. I was I was just wondering who was getting on the site. But anyway, it's another Mindful Monday with Think High Crew. And we're bragging about our new website and new apps and new merch and all the shit because we've been waiting and it's finally 99%
As far
done.
as
Payments have all been made, so it's ours.
about to
But we got a
discuss
good
the
show today,
monthly
though.
maintenance. We do got an excellent show today. We talked about it on what was that, Wednesday?
Last
Yeah, we
Wednesday,
talked
I
about
think.
on last Wednesday on What the Fuck Wednesday that today we'll start part one of generational curses, and we was gonna have
Right.
none other than the famous megawatt leaders in our discussion today. But I do have many questions that will help with today's topic. I got some questions for you. I got some things I want to add in there for you. But we
Perfect.
could we could what you want to call start
Let's
the
just kick it off with the numbers and the astrology, and then we'll
I
go
like to
right
call it
into it.
I like to call it a little foreplay. Yeah.
Right?
Little foreplay, get ready for Mindset Mindfulness Monday. I'm glad y'all made it through the weekend. I'd like to keep y'all weekend. But we back, guys and goddesses, with another Think High Crew Mindset Mindfulness Monday. Today is January the 22nd, 2024. And today is a foe. Some will call it a foe, some will call it a four. Depends on where you at in the world. But some might call it, what is it? Cuatro. Some people might call it whatever the hell it is in their language, but today is a four. Might ask how I got that. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. We add everything up. So 1 plus 22 plus 2024 equals 2047. 2 plus 0 plus 4 plus 7 equals 13. 1 plus 3 equals 4. Some numerologists we'll still go with the 13. Some of us break it down even more, but on a global scale to keep it more uniform for everybody around the world, because not all of us are here in the United States, I'll say it's a four. And today's focus will be on the future, meticulously creating something to serve as a foundation from which the future can expand. Thus, details and procedures will be of higher importance. There's also a focus and dedication and attentive atmosphere felt by many. To give you a little bit of a deeper breakdown on today with the double twos, meaning four, being a global day, it always brings stability with it because it's kind of balanced, but it's not particularly, mystical or charming or anything like that when it comes to the four. I like to call it the door because it serves as a portal for most, and you're not really liable to see much praise for today's work, but be assured that, um, everything that you've done, everything that you sow per se will be reaped. And you want to blend this energy of the day with the rest of your numbers. You'll eventually see progress and accolade from a job well done. Like I'm saying, your fruit will beareth, or it would be thorns. Depending. Four doesn't really, dress things up. In fact, it's another number that you'll hear, the truth from. But it won't be wrapped in like tact or diplomacy, so it won't be like sugar coated truth. And it's a great day to have this kind of discussion about God damn, I'm high, guys, and I'm enjoying myself already. But about generational curses. But four is the day, isn't the day to be a maverick. So take the practical route with things, because we want to endorse that stability that four brings. The real test today is how does four blend with you in your personal cycle number or your genealogy or your numerology. It's possible to get a lot done. So take control of your words and own your actions for today. For the minute you start to feel out of your depth or out of your place, you invite nervous energy into your life. So stick with what's familiar and follow the warm path today. Four brings you the potential to really make headway on like your projects and your plans, and that'll be external and internal. So like, you're trying to get in shape, or if you're trying to actually complete a song, in my case. So you want to definitely stay focused today, but don't take and don't take any unnecessary risks. It's almost like a you want to kind of be boring with it today. But if you do that, then also apply with whatever your number is, your best energy, and you can blend that all together. Then it would definitely make it in your benefit. So you basically will look at the blend of all three of today's personal, global, and calendar day number. So 22, 4, and whatever your number is, and kind of use those as a way to guide you on what you need to be doing today. But today is a foe, so make sure you walk through that door. I'm gonna swing this thing on down to the homie big homie Megawatt out there on the west side.
Thank you guys. Send my voice some love. I got sick over the weekend, so I
It
sound a
got your
little
ass.
crazy. It didn't I didn't go down all the way, but I am a little under the weather.
Understood.
So, yes. I tried and did not make it. So, excuse me. I apologize.
No need. No need.
You don't need to
Yeah,
apologize.
we
It's all
we we
good.
But
all been
Listen to
going through
me.
it. Yeah, right.
Listen to me. I sound like a goddamn toad.
So I'm just going to briefly touch on some astrology. On the 20th, Pluto and the Sun moved out of Capricorn and into Aquarius. And that is kind of an interesting thing because not only did Aquarius move out of a long standing placement of since 2008, so we haven't seen this transit for moving transit for that long. So you can think back to themes in your life that were present at that time and see if it brings up anything for you. But it moved along with the sun, which is kind of like a guidance or someone holding their hand and bringing it along with them. And that illuminates the properties that Aquarius will be sharing with us over the next 16 to 18 years. Aquarius is an air sign. So if you are tapped in and you are ready to move with the energy of Aquarius, you could see enlightenment, heightened gifts. You could see better, clearer thinking. You may even be able to channel or receive information differently than you did before. Um, so, focusing on those could be positive for you. But what it's really going to be doing collectively is it's going to be shedding light on the things that we were looking at through Capricorn, which is bureaucracy, big big companies that that rule over people, like insurance agencies, banks, and other big type of corporations. So we've seen that there's power structures at play that may not be suitable for everyone, and this is going to be helping to break those down. You're going to see a lot of protesting, a lot of boycotting, a lot of people calling people out. Perhaps canceling might be, in the vocabulary. But it really is going to depend on how well people band together on how much improvements can get made. So just yelling something across the street doesn't always, make for a better improvement. So the last time that um, Pluto was in Aquarius, though, was in 1787 through 1798. So those themes can kind of give us an idea of what we might be looking at. And these are adopting of the U.S. Constitution and Revolutionary Wars. So kind of shows those two symbols as maybe a theme that we might be working on. So there was also a French Revolution and a Haitian Revolution during during those years. So you can see that it brings people together or pushes them apart, whatever is most advantageous at that time. So I would say it's beneficial for people to speak their truth and to, if they don't know what it is, to find out what that is. So that would be the theme that I would suggest, going forward.
Sweet. That sounds just about right,
And
don't it?
then
Sounds right
what
on
about
point, huh?
I just had a question too. Like, so what
Mm-hmm.
would you say about wearing Sperry's during this time?
It's totally up to you.
Is that
You got
kind
a
of
boat,
dangerous,
man.
or is that
Wear
dangerous, or
wear the
should we?
Sperry's. No, you're
Okay.
Listen,
good.
y'all gonna have to
I
hit
was
my
going to point
brother.
out too.
What the fuck is Sperry's?
Oh, hold up. I'll tell you. Hold up.
They're boat
I'll let
shoes.
I'll let Matt tell you, but I do want to get into it because I know this is going to be a long show. We're going to have to do a part two. But I just wanted to point to everybody's attention that is joining the live. If you want to join in our discussion on our social media, on our app, on our website, then you can see it right there, and you should be able to click the link. It says generational
It
curse.
looks
Have you
clickable.
ever heard of a generational curse?
Awesome.
So, damn, I don't even know how to
Well,
start
look,
this.
I'll start easy,
Um,
right? Let's just tell the people what the
let's do it.
definition
I was just going to say
maybe.
just a generic definition.
Yeah, I got. That's
Hmm.
where I was gonna start at. I definitely wanted to just give a quick intro. I know Megawatt probably had an intro, a
I have one, but
climax.
I'll follow
No, yeah,
after.
yeah. I just want give the audience a view of where we're about to come from today.
Are
You
we allowed
may
to
or may
smoke
not have
weed today,
heard.
or what's going on?
Man, you go ahead, light it up, because
Okay.
I'm doing that right now. My
I
wife
was
is
just
giving me the
wondering,
signal.
I got
Is it
too many
cool?
notes and things to
We
talk
good? We can
about,
lift
so
off.
I will not be doing that.
I feel it. But a generational curse. Okay, so by all right, so we when we do these deep dives into shit like that, we kind of like to do them live. At the same time, we've taken notes, we've done our own research, we have our own experiences. So
And we've lived
and
this motherfucking shit.
yes, yeah. So yeah, that's what we ain't no fucking slouches in it. I put it like that. We've studied profusely in some of these topics. Almost would make you sick on these deep dives. But I just want to let you know. We like to kind of go ahead and put it out there. So like you might have Googled generational curses, and you'll get a definition that says a habit or behavior that has been passed from one generation to the next. Parents strive to make that their life goal, is to help their children not make the same mistakes that they made. But you can find, that there's a lot of things like that people may call a disease, like gambling. Normally is something that's a generational curse that's been passed down. But just understand, just as much as generational wealth or uh, getting good genes, like Nova's height per se. You know what I'm saying? Passed down, maybe not from his dad, but maybe his dad's dad. You know what I'm saying? There's good things to generational type shit, but here we're gonna discuss the difference between there's different kinds and all of that. But the basic you want to say the basic definition that they'll give you is a habit or behavior that has been passed down from one generation to the
Mm-hmm.
next. And I'm not going to go into too detail. I would just like to give you a good example of a gentleman that I had read about. I found him in a group in what is it called, the resistance, one of seven Beaumart's groups, and he was looking for help because he said every time he starts a business, and he had specific things that was going on in his life. He said every time he started a business, he would gain great success. And then as soon as it reached its climax, for some reason, it would all fall apart in like the worst way possible. So he wondered why. He started like six or seven businesses over and over again in the same, not the same exact thing, like as in detail wise, but like the same thing as in he would build it up, it would do great, he would be successful, he would earn a lot of money, and then some random out of the blue, almost like phenomena would fucking ruin his whole business and he would have to start all over again. And I can give you an example like that was a generational curse. And later in the show, or maybe in part two, I can give you the ending of that story because it did end well, and he was able to, break that generational curse because there are things that you can do. But
Mm-hmm.
with that being said, that's just to give you, the listener, somebody who might not be too familiar with generational curses or even looked up some shit like that, just give you an idea of what we'll be diving into today because we got the famous alien megawatt here, and you may.
Yeah. The alien race is saved for our Aquarius folks. So please do find one of those and get a sample of their DNA because you won't find it here. But I have been all of those places. So um, what I want to say is that example that you just gave is a great example of an active um, generational curse where it's recognized and it's a thing that people are aware of being passed down, but most of them are passive and they don't know that they're even passing them or
Oh yeah,
carrying
see
them.
that's my fault. It
So
like he didn't quite
mhm,
know what was going
mhm,
on until he
right.
talked to somebody. You know what I mean? He
But
talked to
even
somebody about it.
even the definition that you read is very active.
Yes,
It's like how you discipline children or how you speak to
right.
people. Those types of things are active things. And if you talk to families that have issues in that area, they'll say, "Oh yeah, my dad did this," or "My mom did that." They'll know where it's coming from, and they'll recognize that behavior within themselves as coming from that person or those people. So a lot of the ones that really get you are the ones that you don't know
Right,
about
because
or
like
you haven't
we
been
think
heard
like
of.
we just get genetics, like oh we just get the way
Mhm.
we look, or maybe
Right.
you know what I mean, the how we may perceive things. I mean maybe I
Or
guess it can be passed
mannerisms and
down,
stuff.
mannerisms,
Mannerisms,
like
exactly.
little behaviors. You know what I mean? But it could be a behavior or a habit. See, and the thing is that if like these type of habits, if it's a good habit, obviously there's good habits, obviously there's bad habits. You know what I mean? But if these habits affect, the next generation, obviously there's stuff that you can and cannot do, or should or shouldn't be doing.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So when you look at the definitions that you find on the internet, a lot of it focuses on like things that are related to your DNA that can be skewed. So, like mutatable DNA can be caused by chemicals, infectious agents, radiation, and those kind of things can, lead to cancer and other things. But it's interesting when you have a person who comes up with a rare form of cancer, like a person who has lung cancer. They never smoked, they never,
Yeah.
ingested chemicals or worked in insulation, and you've got this person with really deep stage, lung cancer. It doesn't really make sense. And that's where you have to go beyond the line of thinking and reason and look into, what's really going on.
Right.
So
So
hopefully,
information, that's crazy. So like
mhm,
the information of having cancer
mhm,
was passed down genetically, can be passed down
yeah,
well,
absolutely,
obviously science has proven,
yeah,
some cancers or diseases are genetically inherited.
mhm. Yeah. So the reason why we're kind of even having this discussion is because about a week ago, maybe I'm wrong on the timing, but
About a
Nova
week
called me, had a
ago.
question about somebody that he knows and some kind of action that he got himself involved in, and he wanted to know my opinion on it. And so I gave it to him and told him what I thought. But, we've had conversations before, and every so often it'll kind of run you back around to this. Well, it's probably in this wheelhouse. It's probably has something to do with this. So I said, well, we could talk about it on here. So he's going to give just like a very brief synopsis of his friend and his family and some of the things that he told me about him. And I'm going to try to break them down as an example so it helps people understand.
Break them
Hey,
down,
what up,
break them
poetic?
down, break them down.
Poetic.
So I'm not gonna say no names today, just because. But I know these people like really close. They're basically family. That's pretty much the only reason they would be not considered family is because we're not blood related. Other than that, you know what I mean? It's family. But so the person that Megawatt's talking about that I called about the other day, um, so he's the father of the two brothers, and you'll hear about the two brothers in this also. But just know that he's the father of the two brothers. But one of his sons isn't his son. He just raised him as his son. He's not his son. So there's just remember that part too, because then you'll see why the two brothers are so fucking different. But anyway, so the dad didn't call to let me know. I found out through somebody else that Christmas Eve, so that would be the day before Christmas Eve,
Or the
at
23rd.
around at around 9 o'clock or so. This guy
My
was
daughter's
driving down a
birthday.
road. Yeah, I was gonna say it is Lilith's birthday. So anyway, fucking
He was
he's
driving down the
driving down the
road.
road. It's a straight way. It's a straight highway, but it's only a 2-lane road. All right. So he swerves over and runs into somebody head on collision at I don't know the rate of speed, but one person died in the other vehicle that he hit. And so now he's charged with murder, and he was in jail.
Mm.
He's bailed out now. That's not really too important, but so anyway, it's like I called her and I was telling her about it, and I've told some other people about it too because it's a really close thing to me. And so also in talking to these people about it, I said, it's crazy because this whole like their whole extended family has been through like some of the craziest and hard and worst shit that I've ever experienced in one family, right? So started talking about that, and generational curses came up. I already, I'm familiar with generational curses, but I think it's real interesting when you're involved with someone for so many years and you never even think about generational curses. You think about what the fuck's going on, but you don't think about generational curses because you're just so close to the people that you damn near feel like you're part
Yeah,
of their blood too.
yeah, like and a
Yeah.
lot of
So
people
you don't,
wouldn't realize like a problem like something that's maybe a small problem or like a natural behavior to some was something that was like passed down by the great grandfather or some shit like that, you know what I mean? Like
right,
it's not like nobody would think that, you know what I mean? You're not thinking, oh well, my gambling problem or some shit like that is related to not just my fucking need, my fucking will to need to gamble, but my great great grandfather was a fucking
Mhm.
blackjack dealer in the Wild West, and he made a lot of money, or he fucking used to gamble a lot. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the fuck it might be. You know what I'm
right,
saying? But people don't think about that. You
Right.
right. Well, the thing that I want to do is I want to put it out there, and I just want to talk about it and see how this goes, because in my own mind, then I want to try to form, is this generational curse, or is this free will, or is
Well,
this
there's both.
fucking,
There's both.
or there's another one that it could be, or is it oh fuck, man, see, I'm high too. Hold on one second. Let me regroup over here. Let me get it back together. Beam me back down, Scotty.
know?
um so all right, so fuck, man, I had it too. You had to say
Could it
that
could
shit.
it be
Damn it.
could it be trauma or traumatic events?
Nah, it was
No. Okay.
all right, well, you know what? Let's just let's just act like I didn't even say that part, and we'll
Okay.
just keep on rolling, and I'll remember it in a minute.
Tell.
Yeah.
Yep, you will. So tell us what kind of you're talking about with some of the events.
Okay, so all right, we'll get into actual storyline, but just real quick, we're talking about suicides. We're talking about um, deaths from different types of diseases. You're talking about losing limbs. You're talking about being born um, with something wrong. I'm not going to say the R word, and I'm not going to say any other words because I ain't even really researched on what type of them words is allowed these days. But people that are born to where they can't take care of themselves, let's say that, and they need someone else to provide for them, and they get a check in the mail and stuff like that. Um, and then just in general, oh, it was cultural. That's what it was. Was it generational curse? Was it free will, or was it cultural? Just the way these types of people live, right?
Yeah.
So is it one? Is which one of those is it? And I'm gonna try to form that in my own
Well,
mind
I
because
mean,
I
like there's
know the
there's
vibe.
gonna be a little bit more. I feel you.
Mhm.
You know what? Because like, man, because like when you talking like that, then you gotta add like what some religious folk will call like ancestral sin. You know what I'm
Yeah, it's the
saying?
same
Like,
thing.
yeah.
It's the
Okay. So
same.
like, all right, cool. So
So
like,
I'm gonna let him finish, and then I have a little scripture I
all
want to
right.
read. So
All right. So, like I said, like if you just want to think about all the things that happen to people bad happening to one family, that's pretty much what we're talking about. Like one of the sons, the son that is not his biological son, the man that we're talking about, a first guy here, right? So the one of the sons died from leukemia. The other son is in and out of prison, in and out of jail, and just got off of a charge from attempted murder. Beat somebody half to death and left them in a ditch. Um, there's uncles of theirs that are literally living in the woods in small campers because of things that they've done in the past. Um, you've got people in this family that have taken shotguns and rifles and blown their whole face off. My aunt did that, so I can say that shit. I'm not making fun of it, but my aunt You know what I'm saying? She, boom, got herself with a pistol. So I'm not taking it lightly, but I'm just giving everybody the vibe of what we're talking about here. We're talking about car wrecks that have made people lose limbs, or being stabbed, being shot, went to prison, went to jail, lost kids, all of that shit, all of it. So now I want to talk to Megawatt, and I want her to be able to ask me questions and stuff, and Jason to chime in on it too, and so we can figure out, is this a generational curse? Is it just because the way they want to live, free will, or is it just how they saw themselves coming up from the person that they looked up to culturally?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then let's
Okay.
just try to get into it and make it make as much sense as possible. Because
Well, I'll
generational
just.
curses, I believe, are true, and I
I
really
believe they are
believe in
true.
this case. I believe they're true in this case, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure though. You know what I mean? So
Okay. So I gave you a couple of messages that were related to the situation at hand, the questions that you were asking me, and then you kind of went into this whole that thing that you just said about their family and all the different things, and I was kind of like, wow, that's intense, like that's a very an unusual amount of bad things to be happening. And so I asked you a few questions about the people, and if I remember correctly, at least one or more of the uncles was heavily into or spent a long time associated with an organization. Do you
that
remember
was the
what that was?
grandfather.
Okay.
That was the
What was it?
grandfather. The
Okay.
KKK.
Okay. So
Yeah,
we have that. Okay. And then
and
I
he
think
was
the one
also
that.
best friends with George Wallace, who was running for president. And if you look back on the whole George Wallace thing, he was the one that told people, we don't want to integrate. We like segregation. We don't want to integrate. And if you watch Forrest Gump, in that scene where the black students are coming into the college, that's at
Hmm.
Wallace College. So there's some
Okay.
history right there too.
And the guy that lived in the woods, he was involved or
He's an
affiliated
uncle.
with
He would
which
be the
organization?
brother of the guy that was in the car wreck.
Mm-hmm. And he was in what for a long time? Do you
Ah,
remember?
shit.
Military?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
I thought you were talking about some other thing. I'm like, what did I
No,
tell
no,
her? Oh my god.
no. So, what branch was he in?
I'm pretty sure it was the. So you're still talking about the grandfather. The grandfather was in the
Yeah.
Navy also, but the
Okay. Great.
uncle was in the Army.
Okay. So we have Army and we have Navy. Okay. And
Right.
then the two younger people that were your peers,
Mm-hmm.
were they also involved or affiliated with any organizations?
Yeah, they were. So one of them was in the Army when he found out he had leukemia, and he was
Okay.
only in the Army for. He was only halfway through boot camp and
Okay.
collapsed during running and found out that he had leukemia. And I don't even want to say what he told me because YouTube's gonna give us a strike. But he told me that, when he was getting all them fucking shots to join the military, he's like, I swear, man, that's how I got this shit. But anyway, um,
Okay.
and then the other
They
brother
can't give you a strike for that,
was
man. You just are reporting on shit that actually happened in your life. So go ahead.
right. But and so then the other brother, he joined the military, but he didn't make it very long either. I don't even think he made it through boot camp actually.
Okay. All right. And
And
then.
then they've been in, like, I guess you say, organizations. So one of them was a mixed martial art fighter, so he was in that
Mm-hmm.
whole little vibe. And then the other one was like in gangs and shit until he got his shit together.
Okay. And then I think you mentioned this, but I'm just going to clarify. Did you mention any particular religion that this family was affiliated with?
Um, I mean, they would just be considered like, Christian, like Methodist or some shit like
Okay.
that, Southern
But
Baptist or something.
they had a defined religion, if I remember correctly.
Uh,
Yes, Ashley,
uh,
Jesus. They're
Chris,
Christian.
I
Okay.
just said that.
Thank you.
I
Okay.
just said that.
I I'm just
Maybe
making
I
sure
you
I got
okay.
it right. So yeah.
Well, I said they would be considered like Christian, like Southern Baptist or something like
Okay,
that, or
that's what I was going
Methodist.
for. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I was looking for. Okay. Sorry. So in that short question, we
Whoever
have
that
about
damn bully is that just jumped in on me like that, you must, hey, don't hit me from behind. Should have hit me from behind,
I
like a
She's
punch
meant
me and
helping
run
me
I
out.
off
meant
type shit.
She's
Jesus.
just
I meant Jesus as in the religion. They're very Jesus oriented, Bible oriented.
she,
I didn't realize
she,
that it sound came out like Jesus, like that.
Yeah, yeah, they're real Bible oriented, but they don't live like it though.
right, I get it, but they claim an organization of religion. So
Right,
in that short question and answer, we have about five affiliated organizations there, and before I kind of go into my explanation of them, I'm just gonna read a scripture if you guys don't mind.
sure.
This is First
Allah Akbar,
Kings
Allah Akbar.
15:3, and he walked in all the sins that his father did before him, and his father was not wholly true to the Lord his God, as the heart of David his father. And I think that, it's important to know that, like, I don't think the scripture would be saying that if there wasn't some kind of generational history or truth to those types of things. Whether you
Yes,
agree
Allah, Allah
with
Akbar. I
They call
agree.
it
Praise
whether you
God.
ancestral
agree with the
sin,
Bible, yeah,
generational sin,
it's
ancestral
it's
fault.
it's exhibiting that. And
Right.
every organization that we just discussed or brought up, they
Is
fall
Christian
into the
oriented.
category. Well, yes, but they also fall into the category of high demand organizations, and they can otherwise be known as cults. So
Okay.
when you have high demand organizations, they require from the people who are in them high demand activities that are associated and affiliated with them. They require oaths that you say you're going to do what you say
Oh,
you'll do.
oh shit. You were right. I'm sorry. There is an uncle. And there's a
Okay.
cousin also that are Freemasons. Big
Okay. Thank you.
time. My bad. My bad.
Thank you.
See, there's a lot of them
You're
now.
killing me, Smalls.
Hey,
You're
a
killing me,
lot of these
Smalls.
motherfuckers now.
Okay, so we have all of these high demand organizations. They all seem to be working independent of each other, but what I can tell you is at base level structures of power, they are all very much entangled and banded together. Whether you know that or not, it doesn't matter because if they have you doing the actions that they want you to do, then you're participating in their organization. So
Right.
you agree to make oaths to them, to keep secrets, to follow a brotherhood, never leave someone behind. I don't know the statements that each branch of the military makes, but I know they each have their own individual claims of staying together and not leaving people behind. So
Right.
all of these require very stringent actions and thinking to become a part of them. Okay? And they're not separate, they're all together. What you don't know or what people don't know is why. So um, it's because they want us to do their work for them. They want us to do their bidding for them. And the way that they do that is by telling us what we have to do to be in their organization. And so much as even the military pays you, they pay you
I
to
got a
be
question
in
real
their
quick.
organization. Okay.
So do you think that there's a certain type of person or like a bloodline that's attracted to
Mm-hmm.
organizations more than others?
Absolutely. I think there are
Okay.
both astrology signs that are, and I think there are
Well, that
bloodlines that
too.
are.
Astrology
Yes.
signs or bloodlines,
Yes.
any of that type of shit. Okay.
Yes. So there is when you take a notepad or you take a writing tool, an instrument, and you start breaking down just lists of cults or cult organizations, you're going to find that what most people put them in is a religious category. And I don't. I use religion as a facilitator to bring more cults to the table, but not that they're the only cults that are present. So, what the government does, that's very interesting, is they need to have you propagandized for them to be in compliance with war or behaviors that they want you to do or think. And so they take their people out of the military and they put them into religions, high demand religions, and then now you're being led inside of a religion by a propagandized government person, maybe from our country or maybe not even from our country. We have paper clipped people brought into certain religions to build them up that don't have anything to do with our country. And yet what you do is you create these people that work like robots. They go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. They make more oaths, they keep more secrets, and I think eventually it starts to just unwind in them, in their person and in their familial history, and you just start to see things unwinding. The
Gotcha.
best way that I can tell you to strategize this theory or to break it down for your own specific situation is the person that you were talking about that got into the car accident. He is not, as far as I understood, actively in the day to day participating in any of these things. So he would be the recipient of his forefathers who did participate in these things, correct?
Right.
Okay.
No,
So he's just
he didn't
doing his own
participate in the
thing,
military or
any of that.
any of the
Right.
organizations or anything.
Yeah, but his
So how he
behavior is kind of
yes,
like participating in crazy activities, like
mhm.
his
So the
Learned
genetic
symptom
behaviors.
of the curse was
family.
probably, alcoholism and some other shit. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Like
Yeah.
I'm sure there was plenty of other people in the family that had alcoholism before him.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And alcoholism is a tool that a lot of military people use to get through the issues of that you're being created while being in the military, while being told to fight people, kill people, have, anger all the time, or have a mindset that you can never sleep or never relax or whatever. So they use that to cope with those behaviors that they're
So
taught,
is the curse the alcoholism, or is
It
the
can be.
or
It
is
can be
the curse the behavior excuse
both.
me, the behavior of what their their forefather, or the
Both.
generations before them did?
But if I was using this particular family as an example, I would have you do the family tree back 4 generations, and this is where I would start to have you untangle the branches and find where all of this stuff started, creeping in, because this is where it's coming from. You see him and you know him, and he's not actively participating except for poor behavior, let's say, in any of these actions or activities, but he has all the symptoms as if he did.
Hmm.
So if you're going to go back
Right.
4 generations, you're going to find the base level markings for all of these interactions and actions with these high demand organizations.
So
So,
the basically so you're saying that
But
like a lot of these cats can, they
like
know what they're doing with these generational curses. Like they're like, all right, I know that I can behave this way during this lifetime and pass this karma down, 3 generations. Like I won't even have the
well,
karma. Like you
the
think there's
but a
hope,
people
lot
that
of these people aren't even blood related though, because like okay, so the guy that got in the wreck, a big part of his bloodline, right,
mm-hmm,
is crazy.
mm-hmm,
I'm just going to say, or their lives are. But then the mother of the two sons of his, her side of the family
mm-hmm,
is where a lot of the suicide and drug addiction is also present, but none of them have ever been in the military or in any type of organization. They're all like entrepreneur type people. So
But if you
I'm just
take
throwing that out
free
there too. You know what I mean? I wanted to make sure we
right.
was
Yeah, no worries. If you take Freemasonry as its own standalone, none of those people are related to each other. They're related by their actions, activities, and their agreements that they're making to each other. So you can take
right.
that and just separate it over to the side and say these people create problems just merely by being involved with others who are doing the same things. And those, if you only look at that organization, it trickles down and trickles down and trickles down. And people nowadays, they don't even know what that means. You say the word and it's got some weird hidden agenda to it, or it's like, oh yeah, as above, so below, and people say all these things and they act like they know about it. They don't know shit about it. And they see this. Did you know there's license plates in most states that have a Freemason symbol on them?
Mm-hmm.
You can get a license plate indicating that you're a Freemason. People
My
drive
Yeah.
down the
entire
road,
town
they see them, they
is
don't
Masonic. I lived in Hall of
they
Fame
don't
City.
even know what that means. They don't even understand. It looks harmless. It's a compass and a pencil. It doesn't even look like it means anything. And yet it's so big of an organization
Stone
that
witches.
they can't even tell you how many people strong it is
Well,
because
it
they've had to break it into smaller organizations.
right. And I was just about to say it's so big that it's broken down into a whole organization that's a front for the other
Uh-huh.
organization that you don't know anything
Correct.
about.
So now
But
so now it's like the rock under the cup game where they're just moving the cup around and you're trying to figure out, well, where is it? Which cup is it under?
right.
And you'll never
But
figure it out because it's constantly moving.
yeah, yeah. So basically, like, if we if we're going to talk about that with like, generational curses, so I'm just going to get like a sum up real quick. So, am I getting this right? Like, possibly this woman and this man were were drawn together,
Mhm.
and then they
Mhm.
had this one kid together, and then this
Mhm.
other kid was had out of the wedlock or whatever. But so like every one of the siblings of these people that I'm talking about, they've pretty much they look like each other, and they've pretty much
Mhm.
married someone that looks like the person that their
Birds
brother or
of a
sister
feather
married.
flock together. Birds of a
Yeah.
feather
So
flock
even
together.
though
They
it's really
never
weird
change
because
their spots.
no, even though everybody's divorced and most people are
Yes.
divorced here and there in this family and all this shit, like they still communicate with each other, and it's fucking weird
Mhm.
because me,
It is
like
weird.
I'm not like that. Like you know what I mean? 25 years later, I ain't finna, 30, 40 years later, I'm not gonna be talking to the same people that I say I hate every day, but still talk to them.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But so anyway,
They
I
don't
just
know
want to
how
get
to
that
yeah, they don't know how to disconnect those things. In fact, epigenetically, they're so tied in that they feel fear when they think of disconnecting from those types of people or those
right.
organizations because it's all they know.
You know what's
And so,
crazy? What it
perfect
made me
example of what we were
realize.
talking about.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. No.
No, you got it. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying it made me realize about how we always be, I guess you would say preaching, uh, how this shit really is. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy because how it's all connected. Because think about it, we always talking about our ancestors or cleaning up our lineage or what I'm saying, making sure uh, that we're passing down generational wealth or gifts instead of curses.
Mhm.
We spoke about we speak about it, like all the time. Like so, like there's books out there redeeming your bloodline, breaking generational curses from A to Z. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They got them for dummies. Breaking
Mhm.
generational curses for dummy books.
I
You know what I'm
think people
saying?
look
Like
at it too mystical. And if
Yes,
they
they
people
do.
just
do.
look at it
They
like
totally
real
do.
life, common sense,
Right.
it's like
Yes.
the way to break the curse is to stop living like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Don't
Right,
mainly
live that way
it's
no
to
more.
wait, check it though, right? Because we always we in on the Think High crew, we always end up realizing like the biggest trick is to trying to keep you from understanding yourself, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
we can determine this, like if everybody had access to knowing exactly who they were, who their ancestors were, etc., then there wouldn't be any generational curses. You know what
Well,
I'm
here's
saying?
the thing.
Because you would know
They
who you are.
if you just take alcoholism and you look at it as a standalone curse by itself, and you look at people who are trying to separate themselves from the bonds of being tied to alcohol, they have to go to a meeting with other people and they have to stand up and speak openly about it. And they're given a coin that says, I've been alcohol free for this many days, or however this process works, because I'm not an expert in AA. But the coin itself has a triangle on it. Well, that's really fucking weird because when you research the symbolism behind it and you look at the behaviors, you're kind of making you are in a group think
Another
mentality.
pact with some shit or some
You've
shit.
put
Yeah.
yourself right back in another same situation, but it's totally different, and you think it's helping you, and it might be. I can't say if it helps people or not. If that helps you and you don't drink and you stay on the wagon, great. But I can tell you there's a whole bunch of people who tried it who it didn't work for, and now they're not here anymore. The latest example I would give you is Matthew Perry. He could not stop drinking. He started drinking at 12, and he had bouts of sobriety within that time in his life, but he never stopped all the way. He could never stop all the way. And when he couldn't do alcohol, he would do drugs. He would do other things. So, it's plaguing you for a reason. And if you look at his history, you'll find similar storylines, similar patterns, similar
Right.
problems.
So what's crazy about it is like there's there's several ways that you can go about it. Like obviously, the first thing you have to do is to be able to recognize if it's a generational curse or if it's like if it's some ancestral shit or if it's something that you've done yourself. Because like
Mhm.
every day we speak words in
Mhm.
languages, and all of these languages are just spells, and we're
Mhm.
casting spells and we're putting into our reality. So when Nova's, as we're getting down to the broader of the topic, like the big point of it, Nova's like, I'm trying to figure out, is this a generational curse? Like, what could they do to prevent this type of shit from happening to the later generations? Like, or is it just because motherfuckers just some wild ass motherfuckers? But
Well, they could
you could
be.
say both. It's both
Mhm.
because you could be a wild ass motherfucker because your grandfather was a wild ass
And think
motherfucker.
about this too. So
My homie Benji's great grandfather was a pilot. Now this guy's working, he's working at an airport, as a mechanic,
Mhm.
a
Mhm.
mechanic's assistant right now.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is the only job I've ever actually liked coming to. And I'm like, well, and he found out why, because his
That's
great grandfather or something used to
right.
work on planes in
So
World War.
so there it is. It just themes around and around, and it changes a little bit and it morphs, but it's the same theme transitioning through different lives.
you know what seems in this case why it seems more like a generational curse to me is because the son that was not the biological son of the guy that got into the wreck, he did better than all of the other people that are
Mhm.
actually
Right.
blood related
Mm,
Yeah,
by that
because
by that
he
male
had a little
DNA.
extra help.
but was
Yeah, he
still
had a
a
little
hot
extra help.
mess.
But was still, because so if you look at his mom's side, you know what I mean? They're a hot fucking mess. But I guess he didn't have it from both. At least he
Both,
didn't get it from
yeah.
both parents. You know what I mean?
well,
But yeah, he was still
and
but
then
he, if you want to talk about somebody who made the better decisions later in life or whatever, he did. You know what I mean? He was like, he kind of
right.
came out of it a little bit, and by the time he was ready to live completely different, the cancer had taken him all the way down. So
Right.
Right.
And the cancer has to feel at home in a body in order to take it down like that. And the only way to do that is to make it so that it you
It's a
allow that
vibration.
to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
It's
it's definitely a vibe. Everything vibrates at a particular rate,
now
or and shit like that. So, and
And,
cancer has its own vibration.
and epigenetically, it's recognized as one of the ways that your DNA can mutate.
Right,
But
express
I don't
itself.
think I don't think that it just does that normally. I think there
No,
has to be different factors
catalyst.
setting up shop to
It's
make that
science.
happen.
Right,
Hmm.
exactly. It's got to be a catalyst. It's for every, we already know that when something happens, then there's a, a reaction to it.
Otherwise,
You know what I
you
mean?
wouldn't have a 5-year-old with
Facts.
leukemia. Okay,
Facts. I
that's
was
not
just about to say
normal.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
not normal at all. Like, but well, you don't see squirrels with fucking Down syndrome. You don't see fucking, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
just don't see that shit happening naturally in other animals. Some people say, oh, it does. You just don't see the, they might
So
murder the child or whatever, all that other shit. But, you just don't see that shit.
and how often is it, or how often do you think it is that
Very often.
two people
Very
come together
often. Very
and
often.
all right, but so that two people come together and another two people come together and then another two people come together and before you
Due
know it, like
due to the
there's
familiarity of recognizing that person's their innate structure, their personality, the way that they do things, they all feel similar and natural to you. So you pick up on that even if you don't even know you're picking up on it. And
I got
we
you.
have now
But
gained
no,
a
but what I was
generation
just
of
trying to
people.
what
Go
I'm
ahead.
trying to do is I didn't want to necessarily say this, but I'll just say it. So, all right, it almost seems like that it's the same freaking souls living out the same life in this
It can
family
be.
lineage.
It can be
Or it seems
because
like that two families or random families decided that one person was going to come from that side
and
and
try to
one person
help
was going to come from this side and come together
and
and
try to
then
help.
create
Hmm.
or fit in with the craziness because no, like everybody in that family
No, a totally
one
different
way or another.
vibration would have to come and help. Two vibrations of the same craziness isn't going to help.
Well, yeah, but when you're making the agreement to help, you're in another place, in another timeline, and you don't have all that. When you come
What if
here, you
these
forget all
types
that.
of generational curses are specifically set in bloodlines to stay there for specific souls who want to come and have that
Well,
experience?
it
Well,
could be.
that's
Perhaps
what I was
that's
trying
true.
to
Yeah.
say, but that's what I was trying to say, but you
Could
said it a
be.
lot better, so
But
let's
if
go with that.
well, if that was the case, right? So then my question for you would be, if that was the case, then how come they're breakable?
That's true too.
Well,
You know what I mean?
because
So it's like if you can break
I
them,
don't see
then
you're
anybody in
like,
this one, but I don't see anybody in this one breaking it though. It's just getting worse
at
and
this
worse and worse.
point, at this point, I would agree
well, the
with you
only
because it's gone.
yeah, and once you
It's
get
just
so
gotten
deep,
worse and worse and worse. And
like
as usually as people get older, things get better as you
yeah,
grow
well,
up.
that's
And
because
but
the
this
best way
situation,
to
it's
break
just
that type of shit is acknowledgement. When you know what's happening, when you know what's going on, like just that understanding or that knowing or that acknowledgement of that it is a generational curse and like it came from, you know, a specific part of your bloodline, then like just knowing that can fix your DNA and then that generational curse will be broken.
Without active healing and active acknowledgement and the someone seeking to heal themselves, I don't see any of that happening. And you can't do any of those things until you become more enlightened and you say, "Oh my gosh, all these things are happening and they don't make any
Well, the
sense and I
enlightenment
haven't done
comes with the
anything."
finding you. And that's why I think,
Mm.
the powers that be, per se, spend so much money, time, and energy on you not knowing your lineage and not knowing
You're right.
your
But
ancestry
but
and
there's an
keeping shits hidden.
But there's an interesting religion that is very vested in you finding your lineage. And I know a lot about it. And they want you to find your lineage because they're looking for you to identify if you come from the blood of royalty. And the reason why is because they're going to put you in positions of power inside their church if your lineage does come from royal lineage.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
They definitely didn't have any. I don't think they had any royal lineage in them. If they did, they would have been cast out of the castle because they'd be going crazy in there.
well, the guy
So
But the
that
thing is those people that we're talking about, if you went to them, Ashley, and you said, I think this is what's going on with you, they wouldn't even listen to you.
yeah,
no,
it would
no,
take
you can't.
more. It would just
You
yeah.
can't
It's
talk
a
to
self.
people.
Right.
But it's a self awareness. That's all I'm saying. Like once you become like more aware of yourself and what you are, who you are, what bloodline you come from. You know what I mean? The deeper you try to look into that, the more the foggier the information gets. You know what I mean? And that's I think that's by design because like you said, if people would know who they are, like if I knew my great great grandfather was great 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 grandfather was some Indian chief who fucking sold off the fucking land to whoever the fuck he was fucking with for a whole bunch of money or some shit, and that's why there's been a generational course of poverty throughout my fucking lineage or some shit like that. Then I would know it. Then if I knew that, like, it would change my whole present day, like even just knowing it. See, all right,
Mhm.
the guy that I was when we said this was going to be a topic and I had dove in about it and I was telling you, he had a curse where, he can gain success, but as soon as it reached a pinnacle, it would always something would always happen and he would lose all of his money. Freak accident shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it just never made any fucking sense. Well, he dude went to a shaman and he
Mhm.
had a ritual done where they
Mhm.
fed this motherfucker like I don't know ayahuasca, fucking goddamn shrooms
Mhm.
and shit. You
It's
know what
the
I'm saying? And
same
he
as
had
an
it.
exorcism. Yeah.
Yeah, facts.
But
Mhm.
So
see,
so,
that's
so
that guy's
go ahead, bro.
experience and this guy's experience is completely different because
Oh yeah, that's
that
because
guy's shit
he
came out of nowhere or whatever.
right
This
he
guy that I'm talking about, he's drunk every time he drives.
right
You know what I mean? He didn't just
right
run over the side of the thing because he was like asleep or accident or whatever. He did that because he
right
was drunk.
right. It was
And
just saying like it's a pattern of behavior. You
no,
know,
and
and
I
that's
know. I'm just saying
yeah.
there's I think there's different levels of
Yeah,
generational curses.
facts.
Absolutely.
Because to break it down to you, like, and because y'all was gave the ending of each of y'all
And it
examples, like
doesn't have
even
to
just
be
to
so like mythical either. Like it might
no no
be, but
no,
it can be
literally, bro.
just it can just be like, you know what? You saw your
Right,
parent doing this and you live like they
right,
did. And then you raise your kid
hmm
like that. And then nobody
bro.
breaks out
Listen,
of it.
let me
Or
tell
it
you,
could
the
be
dude
like some
had
in
this
your
ritual
blood
done,
shit
right?
too.
Right? This dude had this ritual done, right? And he threw up in after so they're feeding him ayahuasca and shrooms and shit, and like they got like a guy in front of him and a guy and a
Yeah.
shaman behind him, and one of them is just staring into his eyes just to know when to stop feeding him. You know what I'm saying? And the other one standing behind him chanting, doing some shit. But anyways, you get to a point where you throw up, and the
Mhm.
dude threw up, and he's explaining the story like I threw up, and when I threw up, I started to see shit in my throw up. Like he started to see a whole
Mhm.
picture of and then he saw his great great grandfather, right, who had a gambling issue, and he basically it showed him from his like great whatever great 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 grandfather having a gambling issue all the way to why he can only amass so
Mhm.
much success. And then just in that understanding, so after he had this ritual done and just being like, well, goddamn, this is not like a problem that I like is me. I'm not like a bad guy. I don't rip people
Mhm.
off. Like my businesses are successful because I'm a good guy and because I'm doing things the right way, and I'm da 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 da. But he gets only so far, and then some crazy crazy shit would fucking happen to fuck him up, and it's just been a pattern of it, like 6 or 7 businesses, and then he finds out that's why. But just even understanding that that was why broke the curse.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
That's
Just
right.
because he knew now, because we don't know, and that's what I'm saying. Like it would take for them to want to know why this shit keeps happening in our family, and then to actually maybe do something about it and find out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
Well,
Like
that's
think
you
the
would.
about
only
this.
way.
One of the reasons why I don't want to say no names is because there ain't no trial. And if somebody was to hear something, and I don't want to incriminate nobody or
Yeah.
whatever, but
I
so
agree. You shouldn't have.
I'm talking to so and so, on the phone about something, and I didn't hear any remorse. I heard, damn, I just got that truck.
He was talking excuses to you, like
I heard,
when your kids be like when your
yeah,
kids do some
I
shit.
heard like I was driving and fell asleep because I had been working all day. Um, and then I even asked the question of, well, since you're not drinking anymore, like you just said, how was the detox and the withdrawals? Oh, I didn't go through none. I just don't ever want to touch it again. I said, I'm
No,
thinking to myself, what? You've
no.
been drunk for about, no fucking lie, for about
50
probably
years.
maybe 15. I mean,
20
I'm just
years.
not even exaggerating. He probably has been drunk for 15 to 20 years straight.
Mm-hmm.
God damn.
Like, and I mean, like before that, it was just like going out all the time drinking. But like, it got to
Yep.
the point when now it's just like wake up, drink till you go to bed, and anything you do, whether it's going to Home Depot, whether it's going to
It's like how I
out to
smoke. You're
eat,
just going
whether
for a
if it's
movie.
go
If we, I'm like,
or
yeah, I need to
getting in
smoke.
the shower or whatever it is, it's
Shit.
beer in hand and drunk,
Man, that's
not buzzed,
crazy.
drunk. So,
Mm-hmm.
No, that shit's
um,
crazy, bro. It is.
I mean,
I
for
I
me
Seen
to
have
hear
people like
somebody
that.
say that they're not going through, for me to hear somebody say they're not going through withdrawal or detox,
Right.
that right there also let me know, well, you're still drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And how would I expect you not to be drinking when you're facing murder or rest of your
Right.
life in prison,
Right.
and you really probably don't even
Commitment.
remember what happened.
Facts.
You know what I mean? And so, how can I expect an alcoholic to not be drinking when this is the time when an alcoholic drinks?
Right.
Because trial, the preliminary is next month.
Right.
That decides on what the fuck really starts happening. And so to
Mm-hmm.
to think that an alcoholic is not going to be drinking during that time is crazy. You know what I mean? But to lie about it also just shows like, so there's no real remorse that I'm hearing. And you want me to get involved and help? I can't do that. You know what I mean? And then it's like, how do you not have remorse? Is this a generational thing to where like it was just something that you already kind of deep down knew was going to happen, and that's how you're able to handle it? Did you make a deal with this guy that died, that this is how he was going to die before you even came here? You know what I mean? It's just, you start thinking about all that kind of stuff, and it's just like, damn, man. So
Yeah.
that's why
That's
I
deep,
think the
bro.
generational curse is on point, because like, you can't just you don't just have an accident, whether you be drunk or not, and kill somebody, and then you're sober and not have remorse. Maybe if you were drunk, you might not really have remorse, but like you're laughing about it and you're making jokes about certain things, not laughing about killing somebody, but laughing about not remembering, laughing about what happened to you, laughing about, and then remorseful over your vehicle, not the
Right.
life that you basically took. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Well, you're right. That's another you could consider that type of behavior or lack of accountability generational curse as well. I mean,
because
it
it's
goes
almost like
along
a
with any
character
kind of
trait.
depression. Yeah, like depression or
It's
anxiety
yeah, it's like
or
Sure.
almost like a character
yeah.
trait, like it's
Well,
natural, like it's normal.
I
You know what I
knew
mean?
I I knew a lady that she was about maybe 10 years older than me, and she got breast cancer. So she went in the first time and she had the breast cancer removed. And then she did chemotherapy and radiation. And they did some more tests and they felt like there were still more concerns. So she had one side of mastectomy, and then she had reconstructive surgery. But the follow up process was for her to be put on, and I think I'm saying this right, warfarin, to
Oh,
help
that's a
maintain.
blood thinner.
Um, yeah, it's a blood
Yep.
thinner, but it also it helps people. prevent cancer or something. I'm not exactly sure the total diagnosis of her, but basically you have to have your blood tested every week, and then you have to be the pill that you're given is based on the test that your blood comes back as. Well, the thing that changes the way the blood tests is alcohol. So they told her, if you're going to drink alcohol and take this medicine, you have to keep drinking at the same level all the time, or the medicine can kill you.
Oh Lord,
Whoa.
the
So she would
fuck?
just do that all the time. And she'd be like, I can't stop because if I do, then the wrong dosage might kill me. And I'm like, how about you just don't do it at all?
Just don't drink.
Or
Yeah.
take the fucking find a different
Yeah.
med.
Well,
It's
I
some
mean,
form of a rat. It's some form of a rat poison. So it's got like it's not good for you. So she would just be like, "Well, I have to drink 3 glasses of wine every day because this is my dose of this medication." And I'm like, "What?" And if she didn't show up for her blood work, they would call
Well,
her on the phone and be like, "You
put
have
it
to
like
come
this:
in."
if you are taking warfarin, you can't donate blood. No, I'm dead serious. I was a blood
No, I
recruiter, so
know.
I'm just yeah. You
No,
can't
yeah.
donate blood if you
Why
take
would you
warfarin.
ever take medicine like that? Like, why?
Well,
There's
I don't
other
know.
blood
So
thinners.
So I said, well, it's something to do with the cancer. So we went to a movie one
Yeah, a
day,
lot of
and
people
she
for some
opens.
reason it does. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Just because
No, no.
I've dealt with it a lot when I'm just talking to people. They're like, "Oh, well, I had cancer," and I'm like, "Oh, what you had?" But then he's like, "Oh, I had this kind of cancer." I'm like, "How long ago?" If it was so many long ago, then they could still be able to donate. But they'll be like, "Oh, I'm on warfarin," and you hear me. A lot
Yeah.
of them for some reason, a
Yep.
lot of like cancer and I would say cancer and then like diabetic people
Uh
like
huh.
and it's a certain
Yeah.
generation I think
Yep.
maybe more than anything because there are other blood thinners. You're absolutely right, T, but warfarin was the popular one in a certain generation for some reason, and it's for
We went to a movie together, and she goes, "I brought us bottles of water," and I said, "Oh, okay, great." And she handed me what should have been her bottle of water, which was actually vodka, and I took a big old drink of it, and I was like, "Whoa, oh my god." I'm like, "I don't think this is my water." And she goes,
you was like,
"Mm-mm,"
this
and
shit
she
ain't
handed.
strong enough. You
Yeah,
said this ain't
uh-uh.
strong enough.
this
Give me
that
something.
good
This is like
So
water to
H2O.
she
me.
so she traded me back the bottle, but I was like, "Damn, what are you doing? Like, this is crazy. Like, you, you're just gonna have a straight water bottle full of vodka during this, no nothing with it, just
She
straight,
about to get
slow."
whew.
No, and that didn't even affect her. Like, you couldn't even tell.
Yeah, but well, that's because it's a blood thinner as well. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like it don't like out drinking doesn't affect you as much because your
Mm-hmm.
blood is thinner and it just runs through you quicker, so you end up pissing more and shit like that. But your blood's not as thick, so it's not gonna stick. It doesn't stick you know what I mean. So you can drink like a fish on those type of fucking medications.
Well,
Yeah.
needless to say, we are not really friends anymore because I don't have time for all that, and I can't understand it, and it does not make any sense to me.
Yeah,
So,
and so on the generational curses, like there's like the biggest one that tends to be most people are dealing with, would be like to give you some, because as Nova was talking about, the people that, the family that he was talking about, and that was, our main example today. Addictions, drug or alcohol or sex, mental illnesses, depression, schizophrenias, bipolars, depressions, like physical illnesses, hypertension, heart disease, cancer, and even poverty, just to name a
mm-hmm,
few, are all
mm-hmm.
quote unquote you know, generational curses or ancestral sin. Maybe some religious people would, use that term instead. And what's
Well,
wild to me? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to
You
say, in the military, they use the population of their people to test them for medications, to test them for
Yeah.
eating badly, to test
Yeah.
them for being in
Well,
stressful
see, because
situations.
we recently talked about the collection of data, right? We was
Hmm.
talking about knowing your medical history and your medical data and all this data about you is up for grabs right now. Like that's the most expensive shit on the market right now
Hmm.
is data. So and it's crazy, like I said, we like, and this is all relevant because that's why they got these programs where you'll send your DNA in and we'll tell you what you are, but like really they're collecting so much more information on you
Mhm.
than you could possibly understand. You know what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
like,
They know where you live. They
oh my.
know now. They know how many people are in your family. They know
But
what
they know
genetics
they
you
could
have.
even know
Yeah.
what kind of generational what kinks
Uh
are
huh.
in your DNA and
Uh huh.
RNA, can tell them what possible diseases your family has had.
Mhm.
Um,
Or
if
how
your
their current RMNA might affect you
might
and that
affect
sort of.
you,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
like all of this
Mhm.
data is up for grabs, and like that's why I think like they try so hard to keep us from knowing, like, because if we had an extensive background, right? If I can be like, oh yeah, I know who my dad is, my dad's dad, his dad, all, and I can go all the way back, like what programming would be able to fucking or activate the curses anymore? You know what I'm saying? There's no programming that they would have, because if I have full
Mhm.
knowledge of who I am,
Acknowledgement. Yeah.
right, right. So it's like
Yeah.
I
No,
know,
for sure.
and like that's what that's the main thing about Think High Crew here. We highly encourage people being themselves and trying to find themselves, because that's really the enlightenment of it. You
Well,
find yourself, and then you understand that like you're everything, and then there's a whole bunch of shit that goes with it. But I mean, obviously, motherfuckers gonna call you crazy and shit like that. But as you,
there's ways though that you can work on those curses. I mean, just
yeah,
exercising, eating healthy,
yeah.
making sure you're hydrated, sleeping, all of those things
Shit, Nova was saying
distract
what?
you.
Just
Yeah.
knowing that,
Mhm.
oh shit, this ain't got nothing to do with any recent or active choices that I've made myself, but this is literally because my fucking grandparents was fucking doing some shit that they shouldn't have been fucking doing. You know what I mean? Like that shit's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, but to think that shit really can affect you is wild. You know what I mean? Like people don't think about, oh, my uncle was a woman beater, and no wonder 3 generations later, his son's son, his grandson of three, is a woman beater. But you know what I mean? Like it could skip a
Right.
generation. Just like my mom's dad was 6 foot fucking goddamn 4. And fucking as a fucking old man, even when he was hunched over, like he was tall as shit. Like I ain't getting none of that. Shit, that shit skipped all the way over me. But my son might be as big as he came out. That nigga might be fucking 6'4". You know what I mean? When he
Yep.
fucking gets older. So it's like even with
Well,
shit like that, like we take that, but it's crazy how we can understand that, but don't think that
Mhm.
some shit
This
like
other
you,
stuff.
yeah, this
Yeah.
other stuff is gonna come with you. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that's just wild.
Well, the reason why that I asked if we thought that it might be free will, generational,
Right?
or cultural is because I think it's all three.
Yeah,
It
it's a
is.
You
combination.
know, like I
Absolutely.
think if you
Maybe the
look at somebody,
combination makes the curse. Like you need
could
the
be
past, and then you need your past to line up with the present in order for the curse to activate in the future. You know what I mean? Like type
right
Well,
shit.
the military
because
capitalizes on that fact.
Yeah, that and they be moving like that too, and they
Uh-huh.
know,
yeah,
Yeah.
and like if you will go with the stars and shit too, because like a lot of times people make the fucking rash, a lot of rash and fucking crazy decisions are made during certain times, especially full moons and shit. And
Mhm.
I bet you if you were to look at the astrology of the night that homeboy was either drinking or driving, or allegedly, and
Yeah.
happened to murdering people, you know what I'm saying, or whatnot, and they find out that it was some crazy star alignment too on top of that. So it's like, and if the government knows that too, like they got it understood from inside and out. You know what I mean?
right.
And then
But at the
they
same
confuse the
time,
fuck out
though,
of you.
that was just a normal, everyday motherfucking
Right,
thing for him.
dude.
He wasn't. It wasn't
Right,
no different thing. It didn't matter. I'm not saying it wasn't a crazy alignment, right? But I'm just
right, right,
saying
right,
that right there was maybe that was their situation, the other people, because his
right.
day was
You're
going
right,
just like his day went every day.
right.
And the only thing that changed that day was the time that
There
he
was
ended up
somebody coming the
swerving,
other way.
the time that he swerved over, because he swerved over a million times. And
Hmm.
this time when he swerved over, there was somebody coming in that exact moment.
See, and you know what? That's crazy, because like you think about this type of shit, but then you be like, well, damn, like what if the other motherfuckers was on their way to kidnap somebody or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then like your whole
Right. I mean, you
perspective of
think
it
about
will
all
like
the like
change. You know what I mean? Like all the possibilities. I get what you're saying. How it would make you think that deep. Like, well, why was they there on this 2-lane road? Obviously, it's the
so
speed
then
limit.
you're like, well, who are they?
What's the speed limit on that road? Like
Mm-hmm.
40,
Who?
maybe 50.
Probably like 55, 60, something like that.
Okay, so it's like an interstate type shit, you know what I mean? But it's only 2 lanes,
It's just an
so you
old
can
ass country road. It's
it's
called
old ass
Cottonwood
cold ass.
Highway.
Yeah, you see what I mean? So it's like then you got I like I said, I get why you were like, well, fuck, is it bad choices like you said, or is it free will,
And check this
or
It's
out.
both.
okay,
So his ex-wife and the son that he raised that wasn't biologically his were also in a horrible wreck on that same road in the same damn spot almost, and they were hit by an
Mm-hmm.
18 wheeler and they lived through it.
wow,
See how mystical it is, but also not.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so what? So then you're like, well, what happened that day? You know what I mean? And the thing that happened that day is supposedly the 18 wheeler guy fell asleep
mm,
and ran these people, or ran the ex and the ex-wife and the son off the road and shit. So, you know, like you think about all of it and you're like, is that like a portal for them to come in and out, or like what the fuck is going on? But why?
Well,
For one, like
all of.
all of it's just weird in general. But then when
Mm-hmm.
multiple family members associated with each other have separate situations happen in the same places, you're like, what the fuck is going on? I mean, do
That's
y'all
why.
really ride that road that much or what? Like, damn, you know?
Or should you?
So,
Yeah.
Well,
Should
I
you be
always
doing it?
find that just families that are in those small towns, and there's so much of them, and cousins and aunts and uncles and second cousins, aunts and uncles, like they're always in the same little areas at the same time all the time.
true,
You know what I
yeah,
Yeah,
mean?
because they don't do anything different ever.
No, no one leaves. Everybody stays
hmm
there. They raise their kids together. You know what I mean? And it's
oh yeah.
just one generation after another after another. I see it here in Brunswick all the time.
For sure, for sure. I'm in Canton, Ohio. It's like 35,000
Same
people.
same
Just
thing.
Massillon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Massillon's next door with only 35,000 people. You know what I mean? Like, so like, just if you want to put the whole population together, like we're only like 75, maybe 80,000 strong. That's like in
Eh,
driving range. A mate. How about just mating range? You know what I mean? You can probably include a little bit of Akron and shit like that, but what I'm saying, when it comes to this shit, like my family's probably been here for a while, but they came up from fucking different parts of the South. I mean, me and Nova had talked about this, in
well,
Benji. Like all of our
it's
people came from like Alabama.
it's called Akron Canton for a reason. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah, for
merged
sure.
together. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. Well, a lot of people don't know that. Even like, what I mean, you when you break down how the shit is even set up, it's so Masonic. The town is
Mm-hmm.
so Masonic, but nobody realizes and nobody knows their lineage or their background in the town. Like even like their family's lineage of what they used to do in Canton and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like
it's like almost like everybody's just under this fog spell.
Yes.
yeah, bro. But like,
Yes.
but like, it's wild because like I could go places, right? And if it's local, and I can apply for a job or whatever it might have been as I'm doing growing up. You know what I mean? Like go and get groceries, whatever the fuck. I'm living on my own now. I'm doing grown up shit. And I'm going all right. I'm going to the post office and lay at the post office like, oh, your last name Curtis? Yeah. Oh, are you related to so and so? I'm like, yeah. Mike's my daddy. Oh, Mike, smooth Mike. And they talk about how the Curtis boys were such pimps and players and all this other shit. You know what I'm
Oh
saying? They was like,
boy.
yeah, you come from good stock, they like to say. You know what I'm saying? And it's just weird as fuck. You know what I'm